One thing that anytime that I do this talk, I always have a lot of people come up to me afterwards who just say, I'm an introvert. I didn't even know it was an option for me to network or be able to meet people in a business context. You've given me hope. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So whatever works for you, lean into it, because that's how you're going to meet people and you're going to feel comfortable. So you've got conferences and events. Those are always going to come up. You can create your own. So I created my Slack group. And in addition to helping a lot of other people get jobs and have resources and be able to get advice, it's helped my business practice quite a bit as well. Whether you're more comfortable with one-on-ones, so that's reaching out to people, whether it's through a friend of a friend or someone who went to Miami Ad School before, or just cold calling, sometimes that works better for, getting in front of people and getting their full attention. Online to in real life can be really helpful. It's much easier to reach out to people. You're not limited by the fact that they're not in Miami or otherwise, and you can get them on the phone. But you have to be pretty careful about your ask. So it could be something along the lines of, I need 10 minutes of your time. I'm really interested in the work that you did on, Gerber. I'm interested in getting into that area. Can I just have 10 minutes? If someone turns down appointed request for a 10-minute phone call, they're probably not worth knowing. Just going to put it out there. And most people will say yes. Cold calling. I built most of the network that I have in New York through cold calling. You're just going to have to build a bridge and get over it. There's a lot of people I know that are just not good at it, get real nervous about it. There's a lot of SVPs that I know that are not good at it, and are just amazed at how I just don't care. I just will send out emails to anybody, and I'll be really polite about it, and I get a lot of responses. But I get a lot of responses because I A/B tested my emails. If you're not getting a response, it's not the people that you're reaching out to, it's how you're reaching out to them. It is what it is. So if you're not getting responses, send it to your classmates, send it to your friends or your family. They may notice something that you just haven't noticed at all. It could be that you're coming across as being super needy. It could be that you're coming across as someone who isn't going to be valuable or interesting for them to know. But you don't know what you don't know. So this is going to sound really obvious, and I get it. Most of this talk is very soft skills oriented, but it's those soft skills that will get you work, whether freelancing or permanent jobs are in your future. So there's just 3 things that you got to know. Good manners. I know we all want to have good manners. That's just a 101 of being a nice human and getting work, but you'd be surprised. I've seen some pretty shocking things in my day of people being downright rude, actually, and people remember how you make them feel. So just bear that in mind. Be real. Be genuine. When you meet up with someone for a coffee, yeah, you're going to be able to ask them some great questions that will help you, but just try to be a good conversationalist. That's what people really connect with. They don't connect with a really impressive resume. They don't necessarily connect with a really great portfolio. They connect with a human who's sitting opposite them. So bear that in mind. Don't rush it. Don't feel like if you take someone out for a coffee, within the next 2 weeks, they owe you a job. And this is something that I ended up doing for probably the first odd year that I freelanced. It was a huge mistake, massive. And it was really, it was a piss poor attitude. I just thought that, okay, well, all right, I've met up with this person, they have a job, they should give me the job. What's happening? Why is this not happening? As opposed to going along for the ride and playing the long game. Which leads us to the third point, don't be transactional. And I know that sounds gross and awful, but a lot of people do it. I've seen it. It's bad. Like, it's just awful. think about building that relationship first, that it's genuine, that you like that person. You want to collaborate with them, they're going to want to collaborate with you, and you're going to get some really interesting projects out of it. Be valuable. This is a biggie. And I didn't really understand what it meant until a really good friend of mine who's a very successful freelancer broke it down for me. One way that she keeps in contact with people is she'll send them a link. She has a friend of hers who I think is like a higher up at HP, and she's into beekeeping. And my friend will continue to build that relationship with this woman by sending her links to bees and beekeeping about once a month. And it's just really friendly. It's a gentle nudge. And it's not a, give me a job, give me a job. It's a, hey, how's it going? How are you? I read this thing about bees. You should check it out. Pay attention to really what they may or may not need. It may be something where they may be complaining about the fact that they can't find a good designer. Usually people will not be that articulate when they are whinging about what it is that they need or don't need. Ask questions. Don't feel like it just has to be a one-sided thing. I get asked by a lot of my friends who are both freelancers and permanent staff of how I manage to get really interesting projects. And I always say it's because I know really interesting people. I make a point of befriending people that are doing cool work. And not with the idea of, oh, I want to immediately work with them, as much as they're really good people to know. And I like working with people who are fun and are creative and are doing really rad shit. So think about it that way. You have to stay in touch. And I know that this sounds very obvious. It is not obvious at all, and most people don't bother doing it. Straight up, they just don't. So you got to recognize that if you decide to freelance or if you're looking for permanent work, if someone says, your resume is great, your portfolio is great, it's just not the right time, don't take it as, I'm never going to hire you. Take it at face value and keep on checking in with them. It's not on them to remember who you are, but it is on you to continue to nudge them and let them know that you're available, to let them know the cool projects that you're doing. It will pay off enormously. And another really obvious one, they don't know if you're available until you, or that you are available until you just tell them. So make sure to tell them like every 3 or 4 weeks. So basically what all this means is there's no shortcuts to building relationships. It just takes a while. And that's okay, because then that also gives you a chance to build trust on both sides. The other thing, if you have more of a strong relationship with someone, there's way less likelihood that you're going to get stiffed on your bill. And this still happens. They passed some legislation in New York so that freelancers won't get stiffed. It still happens. It will still probably always happen. If you have a strong enough relationship with someone, sometimes that can salvage it, and sometimes it can mean that they can say, instead of, we can't pay you, they can say, we can't pay you right now, but can we pay you 50%? So I have a really good track record in that I've only had it happen to me twice that I've been stiffed, or nearly stiffed. These are the things to watch out for. Not agreeing to money up front, or agreeing to that money up front verbally and then changing it in the contract. This happens a lot. Be aware of it. Don't be afraid of contracts. They are helpful to everyone involved in the business relationship. They're not terrifying. They're not going to bite your head off. They're actually there to help you. So learn how to read one. Again, whether you're a freelancer or permanent, it's really going to behoove you to have a better understanding of what it is that you're signing when you get a contract in front of you. Last thing is, multiple start date changes. The worst. If they keep on changing your start date on you, the chances of them actually paying you are very slim, because it means that they don't have a strong enough relationship with their client to know when they're going to get paid either. So we all get it. When it comes to agencies, they're a service we produce creative work and they buy it. We buy media for them and we come up with a creative. But ultimately, it's really with your relationship with an agency, it's not on them to keep in contact with you. It's not on them to wine and dine you. And it's certainly not on them to sell you anything. That's actually your job. You have to sell yourself into them and do it in a very pleasant manner. When it comes to tools, this is another one that's a little bit more tactics driven, that again, whether or not you're going into freelance or permanent, you got to have these things in line. Website. Never tell someone, oh, I'm working on my website, but when I'm done with it, I'll send it through to you. That's the fastest way of getting someone to completely forget you. Just have it ready to go. As you go through this course that you're doing, just keep on updating it. It should be a living document anyways. And it shows to the person that you're talking with who might be interested in actually hiring you that you have your shit together, that you actually know what it is that you're good at. You know what your services are. You have your story down. You have the different areas that you want to specialize in. Have a services menu. Make it super, super clear of what it is and how you do it. If there's a process involved, tell them what the process is. I'm a big fan of business cards. I've had a lot of people say, those are lame. And I've had a lot of people say, those are awesome. So it really depends on if it's something that you think is important. If you're a designer, your business card is maybe the very first piece of work that they see. So keep that in mind. So portfolios. I have a strategy portfolio, which I've been told is kind of unusual. But to me, if I can show the work that I do and really show off how good I am at what I do, then that means that they're going to get a little bit less sticker shock when they find out what my day rate is. If you can establish value and be able to show, okay, this is what I do it really, really well, then that means that you're going to be assigning value to yourself. First thing you really got to do is you got to have an aspirational biography. You got to really be able to clearly and succinctly state who you are, what you do, and basically where you would want to be in 5 years, but put it into the present. If they see that you have direction, that you know what you want to do, that you're really excited about whatever category or medium that you're really excited about, there's something incredibly attractive about that. So a portfolio, it's like a resume. It's a living document. Ask a lot of questions when someone contacts you and they want to hire you of what type of a project that they want to bring you on for. If you have experience or you have past projects that are similar to that, then definitely highlight those and have a really good story prepared of how you went through the process of creating that work. So basically, whatever it is that is going to make you feel confident about selling yourself, do it. And if that's a business card, great. If it's a website that only has, my work is phenomenal, and if you want to see it, get in touch, do it that way. Whatever is going to feel comfortable to you, but see how people respond to it, and then take on that feedback. Again, like the A/B testing of the emails. So, other freelancers. They may be your competition, but they're also your pals. So, when you freelance, you're alone a lot. And you may go to co-working spaces, and you may have agencies that you work in from time to time, but ultimately this is not going to be your reality when it comes to the creatures that you see when you go to work on a regular basis. Not having a consistent team can be really challenging. And any freelancers who I've befriended, they all say the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're an introvert, extrovert, ambivert, whatever it is, strategist, creative, you do miss having a consistent team. So, you know the saying that friends are the family that you choose? Well, other freelancers are the coworkers and advocates that you choose. And you got to take them really seriously because they're really going to be your teammate. So ultimately, to find your people, go to those events. Be friendly. You know, don't see someone at face value that, oh, well, they're a copywriter and I'm looking to meet other designers. Like, you don't know who they know, and they might be a really, really cool human being. So I think that some of the best people that I've met, I just met because I was curious about their sneakers or something. But just be open, be available, and definitely make as many coffee dates as you can. The other great thing about knowing other freelancers is that there's always a lot of really good tools on the market, and they are exploding right now because so many people are going freelance. It's unbelievable. So when you know other freelancers, they can be enormously helpful in terms of showing you how to properly invoice, where to bank. They can introduce you to an accountant if you want to hire an accountant. But all of that stuff is incredibly, incredibly helpful, and you only get through meeting other people. If you have extra work, give it to other freelance friends. They will pay it back in spades. If they're going through a dry spell, encourage them. Take them out for a drink. Take them out for lunch. Let them know that you still think that what they do is really valuable. You don't know how powerful that is and how much it means when you're not getting work and someone says, you know, hey, I see you. You're amazing at what you do. Let's grab lunch. It'll really lift your spirits and it'll get you back in the game. So when you're permanent, you'll have an annual review and you'll go over your career goals with your boss, and you know that you're going to have this thing that's going to happen every year, and you're going to have someone who is seeing your work on a day-to-day basis. When you're freelance, that just doesn't happen. So you do need to talk with other freelancers about what your overarching goals are, and whether it's possible for you guys to collaborate and then be able to charge more for your projects. And lastly, they can be really helpful in terms of business planning. They can keep you honest in terms of holding you accountable for goals that you've got, and be able to help out just keeping your spirits up in general. And they can be super fun, especially around like the holidays. The freelancer parties in New York are boss. They're so good. So same with clients, you got to stay in touch. Both of you will be happier for it, and you both will get a lot out of it. So to sum up, getting freelance clients is really hard, especially when you're starting out. I get it, you have an amazing portfolio that's going to get you a majority of the way, but if you don't get in front of the right people at the right time, that's going to be challenging. So really find out your way to network, something that feels natural to you, and maybe not someone else who you're like, oh, why am I not extroverted like this other person? And they meet all these people. Befriend them and ask them to introduce you to people. Meet someone in the bathroom, like I usually do. If selling your business is really getting tough, make sure you've got the tools available to sell yourself. If someone's interested and you say, oh, I don't have a portfolio, or I'm still working on it, but I'll send it through to you in the next couple weeks, they're not going to remember you because that's not a memorable thing to say. If freelancing is really lonely, which it usually is, you got to find your people. You got to have a lot of people to connect with, get a better sense of what the market's like, and get a better sense of what it is that that the market needs, really. And that's it.